In today's lesson, I will divide a decimal number by a whole number, and it can be found on page 422 of your textbook. To help me practice this skill, we're going to take a look at today's problem. Speaking of practice, to practice for a bike-a-thon, Karen rides 8 times around the track each day. If she rides a total of 9.6 kilometers, how long is the track? I'm going to go ahead then and write 9.6, which is the total kilometers that she rode, and divide that by 8. I set that up for long division. 9.6 divided by 8. Notice that the dividend is inside the house and the divisor is on the outside. Now I am ready to do step number 1. Step number 1 says that I need to move the decimal point straight up to the quotient. Step number 1, the decimal point is right here, and it tells me that I need to go straight up to the quotient, which is the answer to a division problem. So that's the very first thing you do. Now you're ready for step number 2. Step number 2 says that I will then divide as usual. So I'm going to go ahead and write the acronyms to help me remember the long division process. D stands for Dad, M for Mom, S for Sister, B for Brother, R for Rover, and of course we cannot forget C for Cousin. So let's go ahead and start the division process. 8 goes into 9 one time. Then M, Mom, reminds me that I need to multiply. So 1 times 8 is 8. Sister then reminds me that I need to subtract. So 9 minus 8 is 1. We don't want to forget brother. He comes right after. And if I have a 6 here to bring down, now I'm going to go back to Dad. And 8 goes into 16 now, 2 times. And Mom once again, 2 times 8 is 16. And Sister will remind me that I need to subtract that. And I have 0 remainders. Now, it looks like I am done. However, I have cousins. I don't have any remainders. I can skip that. But I do have cousin. And cousin tells me that I need to check to make sure that my answer is correct. So I am going to check that 1.2 multiplied by 8 is indeed equals to 9.6. 8 times 2 is 16. It goes a 1. 8 times 1 is 8 plus 1, and that's a 9. I need to check my decimal points. Right here, I have 1 space after it, so I'll put that on the side. There are no spaces here. So in my answer, I should have 1 space after the decimal point. So my answer then is 9.6, and that's the same as the dividend right here. So my answer is correct. 9.6 divided by 8 is indeed 1.2. So in this lesson, we have done essentially 2 things. The first step to move the decimal point in the dividend straight up to the quotient. And the second thing that we have done today is just to review a long division process. Let's try it then with a different number. We will try 6.44 divided by 7. The 6.44 is my dividend, so I'm going to go ahead and put it under the house. Notice that I am using a graph paper today, and I have each number inside each box. For division, it is essential that you keep all the numbers lined up. Notice also that the dividend 6.44 is less than the divisor 7. Now I'm ready for step number 1. Step number 1 says that I need to move the decimal point, which I find it right here. I need to move it straight up to the quotient. It simply goes up. And now I am ready for step number 2. Step number 2 says that I am ready to begin dividing as usual. So at the top of my paper, I'm going to put my acronyms once again to help me remember the steps for my division problem. Okay, and then never forgetting C for cousins. So now 7 goes into 6. No, it does not. It goes in 0 times. So now I need to look at 7 going into 64. That happens 9 times. So that's dad. Done with that. So I'm going to go into mom. 9 multiplied by 7 is 63. So sister reminds me then that I need to subtract. 4 take away 3 is 1. 6 take away 6 is 0. Then brother right next to sisters reminds me that I need to bring down the 4. Now 7 goes into 14, so I'm back to dad again, 2 times. Now mom, 2 times 7 is 14. Sister reminds me that I need to subtract. 4 take away 4 is 0. 1 take away 1 is 0. I have nothing else to bring down, and I have no remainders. Now, am I done? Absolutely not, because cousins reminds me that I need to check my work. So 0.92 when multiplied by 7, will it give me 6.44? Well, let's find out. 7 times 2 is 14, and up goes a 1. 7 times 9 is 63, plus 1 is 64. And up goes a 6. 7 times 0 is 0 plus 6. 6. Now let's check the decimal point. Right here, I have 1 and 2 spaces. After the decimal point, there are no spaces after the decimal point here. And so then in my answer, I need to have 1, 2 places after the decimal point. So that's where my decimal point goes. Let me check to see if my product right here is the same as my dividend right over here. And the answer is yes. So the answer to 6.44 divided by 7 is 0.92. Notice that since the dividend is less than the divisor 7, then my answer turns out to be less than 1. As we work with decimal points, it is very important to remember it, especially in division, to take care of that first, and then to follow the steps of the long division. So today you've learned how to divide a decimal by a whole number. Thanks for watching.